Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another live stream / recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, November 9th. I decided to try and start a little bit earlier, 1 o'clock Central Time. I'm thinking earlier is probably better. You know, just for maybe the daylight savings time issue alone. Like, it still doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I still feel like were I in a situation where I had hundreds upon thousands of people coming to live streams, they would want it somewhere around 3 or 4 in the evening, just because I think that's when most people get off work or school. But I don't know, I guess I have to follow the small little breadcrumbs of bits of information I can try and figure out as far as what is the best time for the most number of people. We're gonna re-roll one of those. We just did re-roll one of those. So let's see. So, 100 class cards, win 3 games with Hunter, 40 odd cost cards. Now, in all honesty, I should actually jump to the European account immediately and play that, because that's the only account I still have where I need to challenge people to get extra gold. But we'll start with this. This won't be too bad. So I made it halfway through. I guess we're gonna play Spell Hunter. I made it halfway through the Steam end of the year wishlist cleanup, or end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup for games starting with the letter T, and then I didn't run into a point where I felt like I wanted to invest another 4 or 5 hours into it on Thursday. So, like, I knew T was going to be super long, and unless I've made a horrible mistake and I find out that actually it is only going to take me an hour more to finish the second half of games that start with the letter T, I think I made the right decision. So the letters S and T will have 2 episodes. Not a big problem. It does seem like, well, I may very well have every single kind of every single letter to cover. It's possible that unless I really stretch it out, games that start with like the letter Z might be pretty short episodes, which should work relatively well, because then, as this is all scheduled and working out, that would be the last few episodes would be airing December 25th, 26th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st. So the last week of the year, which for the most part is a completely dead time, and people don't tend to put out too much new content, maybe for better or for worse. Was there anything else I did? Not really. Well, yeah, just in between recording 5 hours and taking breaks every hour and a half or so in recording that 5 hours of content, yeah, nothing else really happened, and that shouldn't be super surprising. In all honesty, if I was forced to document every single 5-minute increment I spend during a day, it would be pretty pathetic. But also, I know that, and any job that would require me to document my time like that is a job where clearly the people don't trust you and are probably trying to force you into quitting. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. Oh. Of course, that's not something you also generally know to ask too, is like, what is the level of documentation you have to do for your own time? Is somebody always constantly micromanaging you, or are you left alone? I've certainly been given job descriptions and interviews to jobs where the employer directly said, "Oh, we don't do any training. We don't manage at all. We just throw you out to the wolves." And well, they didn't say it this way, but they're like, "Yeah, we just throw you out to the wolves, and we expect you to just get it done," which sounds appealing later on in a career, once you've established that confidence and you know how a certain business does things. It's not particularly appealing at the beginning when you're being interviewed for a job, because it means they're really setting you up to fail.
Melt away.
And in general, there's an overall issue, certainly with a lot of jobs, where people don't want to invest in any training whatsoever, and they just want to hire somebody who knows exactly how everything is done at that specific business, but just magically knows that, because there's literally no way anybody who hadn't worked there before would know that. Yeah, I guess I'm getting slightly off topic at this point. Since I didn't record any extra footage this morning, I thought about doing it, but I chose to not, because I didn't want to get into a situation where I'm spending extra effort let's see.
Melt away.
Do I want to do this, or do I want to do this?
I hunt alone.
I'm gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this. I guess what I'm going for on this Friday stream is to get through all the news, and then hopefully get all through the Data Quest 2, and get those two goals overlapped relatively easily and quickly, so that I could then potentially record after the stream, which means I would want the stream to be somewhat short. So yeah, I think that's where we are. Let's see, do this, and do this, and do this, do this. I'll just play that, and then return. Well, I'm gonna win next turn here. That is something I'm considering about too. Is that that now that I've got this new system that I put the extra effort into developing, and hopefully people like it. I kind of like it.
The light protects me.
There's a new point about just how much and when I should leave the screen, and potentially have people not really easily see a victory or loss. There certainly was at least one game last stream where I lost, and I don't even know how I lost because I wasn't paying attention. So we got a win streak. Good. We might make it back up to rank 18. While this is loading though, we'll look at this game Defense Grid, or Grid Defense, which is a tower defense game, obviously. Doesn't look incredibly horrible. $4.24. But it's a tower defense game. So yeah, this isn't making it to the fall list. Speaking of the fall list, I think what I'm going to do is we're gonna have to make special episodes just quarterly, in which we look at the fall list. There's just a little too much, I think, that's gonna happen otherwise. The fall list will just be way too big by this time next year. And it will be a slightly different experience, I think, to every 3 months or so look at the fall list and go, look, we're just looking at games that meet that 25 review threshold to see, hey, are these games that caught people's attention, or are these games that people totally ignored. Let's see. So I want to discover a secret, which will take a snipe, and then I want to see if I can track and pull this other copy here. Nope.
Job's done.
But it's still not too bad.
Truth is found.
And this is going to take a while until this starts warming up as a game, so we'll come over here. We have a game called Rock Painting Story, which looks interesting, but you kind of have to realize this is the game. This isn't just like a background. Each of these caricatures and pictures are the game. Let's see. If we skip here, we can see how it looks in motion, which is an important part to this. So it looks like it's a... I'm going to come over here and play. It looks like to me like it's a kind of infinite runner style game, where you're just constantly going to the right with a few attack abilities. And there definitely have been some games on the wish list where I've realized I was just totally suckered into the fact that it was a visually appealing looking game. But the gameplay mechanics and the story is just not there. We'll look at this developer and see if they've made something else. Of course they haven't. Rock Painting Story is 40% off for $1.79, so it's pretty low effort. They know it's not very valuable either. It says it has some puzzles. Yeah, that just does not feel like it's a... It just doesn't feel like it's a game that will actually would be fun to play. So I'm being pretty tight here, not being very generous, because I don't want to put it on the fall list. Looking at the publisher, and the publisher's first 10 published games also look unappealing. So I'm closing that tab. Okay. This, and this. And this. I shouldn't have attacked. That sucked. That was a total mistake. Total complete mistake. We have a game on Steam called VR Interactive Trailer Runes, which I would assume is a VR interactive trailer, not an actual game. Being VR only, being free, I don't see any reason why this would make it to the fall list. Although, speaking of free games, I have made the decision that I am going to go through my wish list after I do the wish list cleanup, and I'm going to install every game that says it's free. This will, one, eliminate a lot of games from the wish list if they are free or free to play, and just have them in my library, which at that point my library is where I just pick the games I want to actually cover in a certain time period, usually over the course of a month.
Job's done.
But also it solves a problem where there might be games that are free right now that stop being free, or there might be games that have been not free before and are just on like a temporary sale, and I just happen to notice that they're free. I wouldn't say there's a lot of instances on Steam. There are some, but not a lot, where games are free for free to own or free to keep for short weekend times. But I haven't seen a lot of experiences where games are free for a year and then they get the price raised on them. Okay. How do we want to do this? Destroy a random enemy minion. Let's see. Kill this. I'm gonna play this. I'm going to play this and this. Right now my Chrome browser, by the way, is using almost 70% of 16 gigabytes of RAM. So yeah, I've got a ton of pages open, and I need to, after I close all the pages, I need to reboot my computer probably, if not just reboot Steam, not Steam, but Chrome, because yeah, that's a slight issue, or at least it seems like it's a slight issue. Maybe it actually isn't an issue at all. Just play this. Each time you play a beast this turn, add a random beast. Deal 2 shots. I could do 4 here and lose. I should have played some more spells. But there goes my win streak. There goes my bonus star. And making slight progress on playing odd cards. The other daily quest we have is playing as mage. I definitely have an odd mage deck. We could play tempo mage for a little bit of fun here, but that's really all it's going to boil down to. And let's just keep moving. We have a game on Steam called Gravity Bone, which looks like it's possibly an asset flip adventure game, or if it is a game, I'm really struggling to see like what kind of game it is. It seems like they don't even have a video, which seems odd. It's from Blando Games. That name sounds slightly free. It's free, so let's see what else this developer may have made. Alien Zombie Smasher, Air Forte. Atom Zombie Smasher, Skin Deep, Gravity Bone, Flotilla 2, Quadrilateral Cowboy. The only one I think I'm slightly even familiar with is Quadrilateral Cowboy. Okay, well, I guess I'll put this on the follow list or just install it. Like, I think what I'll probably want to do is particularly install all the games during the Steam fall sale, Black Friday sale. Like, there's some weirdness there too, is that in general I kind of prefer to Like, I want to spend my annual budget of $300 on games. That's just to keep momentum and continue to have more and more games to play and have more of a variety. I don't want to get to the point where I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. It'd be a very boring year if I'm having to play extremely old games, not because I want to, but because they are just the only option. But if I spend that budget, there is also this very big chance that I won't have the budget to buy a video card, which is what I would very much have liked to do. That was my hope, was to replace my GTX 970 with like a 1080. I don't think inherently there's a need to purchase a 2080 for the amount of money it's worth. I think the whole ray tracing element in particular is going to be a factor where
I'll never tell.
Job's done.
Yeah, it's going to be a factor where the next generation, whatever, so what would be called the 2180, I imagine, is how they're going to continue numbering it. Like, that would probably be the next one to start thinking about purchasing. See, I don't have... have a secret. I don't think I'm gonna have a secret either. I wish I did. Let's move on. Feel kind of laid back and relaxed right now. I'm not going very high energy. I like that though. Like, I kind of like when I can be laid back and I'm not going and there certainly are times when I'm recording where I'm just falling into every single verbal tick possible, and I go back and listen to myself for a few minutes and I'm like, oh man, that was awful. I wish I could learn the tricks, if there are any tricks. I think it's sometimes just some people have it and some people don't, but I wish I could learn to not ever fall onto the uhs and ums too much. We've got a story from GameIndustry.biz moving forward. Tencent undergoes marketing budget cuts as China's licensing freeze persists. Company's gaming decision is limiting speed, shifting budget away from unlicensed titles. So that now unlicensed titles as a descriptor is a unique descriptor. I would assume that means they're shifting budgets away from unlicensed titles to titles that are licenses. Oh no, wait. I was misunderstanding it. They are shifting budget away from games that have not received the license from China to be allowed to be sold in China. So basically Tencent knows what it seems pretty obvious to everybody else, that this gaming ban doesn't seem like it's gonna go away anytime soon. And pretty much all Chinese video game publishers and developers are in a really bad situation. And yeah, this is the one story. This is the story that's actual news that of 2018, and it's barely even getting covered. Like, you would think places like Giant Bomb and the Bombcast, which I'm still listening to on week-to-week basis, and I'm listening to the Beefcast too, so I'm listening to two of them. Like, they haven't mentioned it at all. Like, they're just not covering the news at all. And that's one source, but you know, Tech Raptor's not really giving any updates. Gamasutra's not really doing any updates that much. Like, this is a much bigger deal than what people are treating it as. Let's see. The next big story, and I feel like I said something like this in the end of the year cleanup and before this was announced, and maybe this is just one of those deja vu moments where I think I remember something that didn't really happen, but I get the feeling I said Square Enix looks like it's in trouble. Because I saw reviews of Final Fantasy 15 that weren't that good. Because I know Hitman was Square Enix. I know several of the other, I think several of the other Square Enix Japanese game releases weren't very successful. I know Deus Ex, which I think is Square Enix also, wasn't that successful. So it's been kind of a running list of games that haven't been that successful, and certainly Final Fantasy VII has also been running into trouble with its development.
Thunderstruck.
Let's see. Just need to get a couple more damage done. So, TechRaptor has an article. Square Enix cancels 3 Final Fantasy 15 DLCs, and the director of Final Fantasy 15, Hajime H-A-J-I-M-E, Tabata, leaves the company. So, in all fairness, I think Hajime Tabata only really ruined Final Fantasy 15. I don't think he had a big hand in the development of the previous Final Fantasy games in the series. If that is me being fair. But from what I can gather from the small sources that I've seen, the problem with Final Fantasy 15 really was him changing his mind, not having a consistent vision, not having a story storyboarded and written out, not sticking to that story, wanting the elements of the game to change in late in development. So his I really do put it on Hajime Tabata. So now that he's leaving the company and leaving Square Enix, which Square Enix is kind of known for being a micromanaging company, so he probably didn't like to be micromanaged, although maybe it's just that they're a micromanaging company to Western subsidiaries, and they're not very micromanaging to the other Japanese subsidiaries. In this instance, it feels like Hajime Tabata really was the one that should have been micromanaged. You know, it should have had at least somebody telling him, look, we need to lock down a story before we start developing this game. We need to lock down what gameplay mechanics are in it. Final Fantasy XV's fighting gameplay mechanic is boring and grindy. Its level designs, from what I've seen, are boring and grindy. There's kind of basically no story in Final Fantasy XV. That seems like a problem. Let's see if we can... The one DLC that is still coming out for Final 15 is called Episode Ardyn, A-R-D-Y-N. It's coming out in March in 2019, and it's a prequel set 30 years before the events of the main game, which is not good. And it becomes then slightly questionable also about when they've made promises of fixing Final Fantasy 15, whether it was on the PlayStation or the PC, when they made promises to make tweaks and add more stories. are those promises going to be held to, or were those just false promises that are now out the window? Let's see. And to go on top of the fact that Tabata has quit, the subsidiary that I think Tabata was working for, Luminous, will now be focusing on large-scale, high-quality AAA titles, which best leverage Luminous's strengths. When it was announced in March, it was reported to focus on development of new AAA titles. So the question is, are they making new Final Fantasy titles, or is Luminous doing something completely different? Keep on playing. The team at Luminous, according to TechRaptor, is comprised partially of veterans from Final Fantasy 15. However, the announcement to shift the studio's focus has reportedly incurred a $33 million loss for the company, on top of a 50% drop in profits from year to year. Also, Square Enix was the one that put out Rise of the Tomb Raider, so that explains why it went on sale, certainly. Is that they've just got, like, terrible news. And it is kind of crazy in the way that they announced this terrible news, because they did a live stream. It's almost as if Square Enix Japan thought that doing a live stream would be the place where the fewest number of people would actually see that news. Because they made like a special presentation live stream to announce all this information, when it really should have just been a boring press release. The more you put video and audio to something, the more people are likely to sit through it and see it. Had this been just a sneakily put out press release, half of the game, quote unquote, mainstream video game journalists wouldn't have bothered to even report on it until other people started reporting on it. The Comrades multiplayer expansion that is currently released as part of Final Fantasy 15 Season Pass DLC is now going to be released as a standalone on 12/12 in America and 12/13 in Japan. So that's exactly also what they did with Deus Ex Mankind Divided, where the focus was on adding this unnecessary multiplayer. And I don't know, in Deus Ex Mankind Divided it was totally unnecessary. Final Fantasy 15 allowing you to play multiplayer throughout the main story sounds like a really good idea, but it doesn't make a lot of sense if it's just a small section of the gameplay. Seems like, if I'm reading this right, people who already own the expansion pass get to keep this new standalone content. However, the season pass is going to drop in price to $15. And apparently multiplayer Comrades is only available on consoles, not for PC. So yeah, Square Enix doesn't seem like they have a consistent PC strategy. And then they're gonna do more of these crossover events that they've been doing. Yeah, I kind of wonder about the crossover events too. Was that them trying to find more money? I mean, it really does feel like, even though a lot of this can fall on Hajime Tabata driving Square Enix to potentially the brink of going bankrupt, which is where I think this might be in a year. But a lot of this has to be in the upper management too. Is just Square Enix, as in its upper management, not really making enough and budgeting enough for more tentpole games, more varied styles of tentpole games, not really focusing at all on any smaller style games, just not saving up. I think a lot of the video games companies too right now would be the perfect time to start saving your pennies and say, look, next year is going to be rough for everybody. Because that's where I think this is very well going to go, is that it's going to be very rough in 2019 if I was to guess. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to be one of the worst years in video gaming, because we're going to see a lot of companies go bankrupt, or at least a lot of companies slow down. Whereas 2018 was the year of way too many games coming out. I wouldn't be surprised if it's very, very few. Hajime Tabata's last day was October 31st. So yeah. And it's important to point out that Japanese people don't just quit and leave companies and go and start their own companies. That's a very new idea for Japanese people. It is starting to happen more often, yes, particularly in the artistic realms. But if you were thinking about doing something like this 10 years ago, it would have been completely unacceptable. They would see it as total disloyalty to the company. That everybody, even if you are a high-level artistic director of a game, everybody is expected to be 100% loyal to the company and work there for their entire life. That's why in Japan, when somebody wants to get rid of an employee, because of their unions in Japan, they can't just fire them straight out for the most part. They have to give them these ridiculous time-wasting tasks where they're just working for 8 hours in a dark corner somewhere, stapling papers or removing paper clips. Very basic and generic things. And even then, most Japanese people still are not willing to quit, even if they have been assigned to these pits of despair, I guess, are the best analogy. Jobs. Let's see. Just playing cards right now, I guess. Playing Hearthstone. That's all I really need to do. Alright, so we play this. And then this. And I want to play this next turn, so I'm gonna attack here. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called 3C Wonderland Coaster, which looks like it's trying to be very kid-friendly, but it's probably an asset flip in VR. If I was to guess, $6.99. Yeah, I really don't think I'm gonna put something like this on the fall list. Might be an on-rails shooter. Like, the idea of an on-rails shooter game in VR makes some sense, but this is just really bright on what looks to me like very possibly stolen art assets. Like, the idea that there's just so many walls with flat pictures on them implies to me that there's a lack of creativity going on there. Let's see. We did get some good news. Gamatsu has about 3 articles here. And I imagine these are all from the same press conference. But we'll see. Ark of Alchemist is coming to the West in the summer of 2019 for the PlayStation, both in physical and digital versions. Let's see what kind of game it is. It's an RPG, it says. I want to watch the trailer and see how that works. Deal 3 damage and wolf. From Compile Heart. Skip this trailer around. I'm seeing a post-apocalyptic desert environment with some machines and a lot of text on screen that's in English, but I'm not reading it. And then the actual characters for the game look like closer to mobile level of animation than what I would call like a standard video game RPG level of animation.
To my side.
End the turn. So yeah, Ark of Alchemists not catching my attention, particularly because it's not on PC. But yes, another Japanese game is coming out to the West, and that's always good news. I really would like to see almost 100% conversion for all games from all around the world, with some slight exception on what is on Steam and what is on something like itch.io, because I kind of do feel like Steam is designed for commercial products, and if there's a lot of games that don't meet the level of quality for a commercial product in my mind on Steam. Right. Hit that. Moving on, Gamatsu has another cool Dragonstar Varner VAR is coming to the West in spring of 19.
Put your faith in the light.
It's coming out for the PS4. Again, this probably was all the same announcement from the same publisher. If this is Compile Heart again, for example, yes, it is. So yes, this was some kind of Compile Heart announcement. Let's see, Troll Secret. Let's see. Guess Freezing Trap. Then attack here. So yeah, I'm watching the trailer here, and it's mostly still pictures of characters. They're not moving, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a pretty early RPG.
Mushroom power!
Or maybe it's just not animated very well, because that preview did not show any real gameplay at all. Next, let's play this. And do this. Gonna go ahead and play this and do this just for the fun of it. I'm starting to get sleepy, which I have no excuse for that. I slept in perfectly fine. Hopefully that was enough cards. We're making little bits of progress. We might make it to rank 18. Heck, if we actually make it to rank 18 so early in the month too, that means we have the ability to to work towards rank 17. And if we saw consistent progress, that would be really amazing. Really, 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 really amazing. Like, that would tell us that the app we're using to help me build more standard meta decks and try and win more often is there. And I guess that is a point that nobody ever brought up again, is that nobody has ever complained that, hey, you changed all your decks and now you're just playing what is basically the same kind of card decks that everybody else is playing, and you've stopped making weirdo crazy decks. This expansion, Boomsday in particular, was rather easy to do things like that. Let's see, and the new expansion is not here yet. I wasn't really expecting it to be. Why are all these cards marked new? There's literally no reason why any of these cards should be marked new. That glitch is still not fixed. There we go. So we'll hit done, we'll go back, we'll come back, see if any of them are marked new again. Alright. So that's the Americas account. Let's switch over to the European account. I'm just seeing on the Hearthstone launcher, or the Battle.net launcher, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is now listed there. And I think that might be new. Okay, Gamatsu has an article. Date A Live, Rio Reincarnation is coming to the West for the PS4 and PC in the summer of 2019. Let's see if there's a trailer here. We can see what kind of thing it is. There's some screenshots and it's a visual novel. So, one more game coming to the West. This probably isn't from Compile Factory, it's actually from Idea Compile Heart, it's from Idea Factory instead. Alright, so I need to re-roll this, and it's possible what's going to happen is I will get another daily quest later on this evening, and I've just started too early. I have a pack here from something. I didn't want to open it off screen. I think it's from doing the Tavern Brawl off screen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. Is that I had forgotten to do the Tavern Brawl. So we can go ahead and disenchant almost all of those cards. And then we can see what the new cards are according to the buggy system. There, mark all those as old. Come over here. Come over here. Set this as our new favorite, because I keep forgetting to do that. Alright, so we're looking to challenge a friend in a Warlock game. How is this guy? How far is this guy to being done? Gametsu has an article. Death End Request, that's RE:quest, launches February 19th, 2019 in North America, February 22nd in Japan. This is from Idea Factory also, which there's a trailer video. Let's watch that. See, it's tagged as an RPG. Compile Heart and Idea Factory apparently work together, so actually these might be Compile Heart / Idea Factory announcements. Death End Request, looking at this trailer, looks a lot like a JRPG. It's not turn-based fighting, and there may be a ton of grinding in these kind of RPGs, but it doesn't look too bad. It has that anime fashion and anime style to it. There's the thumbnail is of an anime girl in not a lot of clothing, and now they're starting to show some of the other anime girls, and they're in very high fashion, skimpy bits of clothing. Although the actual game, the camera's zoomed out and you're looking at the backs of these characters, so except for cutscenes, which there might be quite a lot of cutscenes, you're not going to really see too much anyways. Right, so should I stay and watch this game? I think we will. We'll just stay and watch. I want to come back and just double check that this is a PlayStation 4 only game. Yeah, it seems like it is. Like, it's going to be interesting to see how these PlayStation 4 only games get received or actually released. Now that Sony PlayStation is implementing new rules. Alright, so let's come over here. Challenge standard. Okay, play Warlock, and here we go. Minecraft Educational Edition has a new update called the Code Builder update to learn coding in Minecraft. I am not 100% sure that coding in Minecraft is where you should learn it, because again, it's one of these systems where it's a visual drag and drop coding language that I'm not sure I'm 100% sold on as a way to code.
None will survive.
Now, I don't think you can just get the Minecraft Education Edition, so I think you have to be an educator and buy the license from that way. Okay, so ideally I want another one of these and somebody that will heal. Okay. Just draw a card and keep going. We have a game on Steam called Shell that looks like CGA graphics, MS Paint graphics. I don't know if I can really call it just CGA graphics because I don't think that many people would remember. Looks like garbage. It's 84% discounted. Obviously it's not making it to the follow list. But I kind of do want to just burn through a lot of these games. Let's see.
So call for the
Yeah, I guess that works as well as anything would. I thought this card was a different card. I thought this was the one that lowered its cost to 0 if you'd healed the hero. Next we have a game on Steam called Tishio Q, as best as I can guess that's the name. I'm fairly certain that this game already was on my follow list. It looks like a point and click adventure. It says it's just an adventure, so maybe it doesn't have a mouse. If this isn't on the follow list, I'll add it to the follow list. It still doesn't have enough reviews. Some games do have enough pre-hype about them that people will play and review them very early, but most games do not. Let's see.
Your magic shall not save you.
So yeah, that'll stay on the fall list. Gambit Sutra has the same article, sales and profits down at Square Enix as console titles falter. Let's see. Consolidated net sales fell by 15% to 112.2 billion yen, approximately 990.2 million US dollars, while profits decreased by 50%, so they spent a lot more money on other things too. Because if the net sales had only fallen by 15% and everything else stayed the same, the profits should have only decreased by 15% also. Let's see. And this. Am I supposed to be playing Warlock cards? I think that's what I'm supposed to be playing. Yeah, nothing really else to say about that story though. It's just, yeah, Square Enix is having trouble. Let's see, Recast, part of one of the cores of LibRetro, now supports Atomiz Wave support, which I guess are
this guy's toast.
A new type of. It looks like it's probably a much newer type of arcade machine emulation. So things like Guilty Gear Asuka, Guilty Gear X, and Metal Slug 6. Those seem like pretty late arcade games, not 70s, 80s arcade games. I also retweeted the Reset Era, which seems to be pretty much a garbage forum, or kind of at best maybe a pointless forum. Was somebody on Reset Era made a forum saying that LibRetro was getting compensation from major game developers. I don't know how or why they would think that. Like, if that was the case, then they'd probably just be happy about it and come out and announce it. It would probably be a very good way to get their name out there. So it's kind of silly to think that would be hidden. So now that part is done, we just need to play a bunch of Warlock class cards. The thing with LibRetros, they do take donations, so in theory, like, any major video game company could be donating money through donations and they just not realize it. But I guess if you don't know where your money's coming from, you're also not developing a bias towards anything. I think a lot of this comes from the theory that's coming out that's probably true, that the emulator on the PlayStation 1 Classic is just a LibRetro emulator core. That doesn't even really mean that it's a LibRetro build, though. It could be its own separate standalone thing. So yeah, baseless speculation that now needs to be reported as baseless speculation until somebody can do actual journalism and research and report. Speaking of journalism, maybe not. Defy Media, home of the YouTube superstar Smosh, is shutting down. It seems like also the Defy Media had a video game division, and at least one developer was owed royalties for like 18 months that hasn't seen and probably will never see. So yeah, it seems crazy. I got pointed to a video of the person who used to own Smosh and sold it, and he sold it for like $0 and stock options in the company, but the company never went public, so those stock options are worth nothing. I mean, it sounds like you're really, really dumb to fall for that, but apparently that's how it went. Personally speaking, I have no idea who Smosh is. I've heard of it, and I've heard of Defy Media, but only in real passing. I have like no clue what kind of content they made, or what they were, or whether it was good content or not. It does point to something certainly wrong with the YouTube system, that big developers and big production companies aren't making money and profiting from YouTube. There's definitely something wrong with the YouTube system when small developers also aren't profiting from YouTube. So basically nobody's profiting from YouTube. Even YouTube is not really profiting from YouTube. That's a problem. And I could go into a longer rant about that. From one perspective, though, I think goodbye and good riddance for big YouTube content creators. Because if YouTube is ever going to get back to being what it used to be, or something, or it probably would never do that, but if YouTube's ever going to improve, it's got to be a source for new, interesting, different content. It can't be a source for the same old boring content that people have been putting on other services forever.
It's playtime.
It's
playtime. Your soul is mine.
There's a similar question, certainly with YouTube, I also would like to bring up is College Humor, and I'm pretty sure they have a parent company above College Humor, have started this new website that has their videos in full, and now they're just putting videos on YouTube that are short 5-minute intros, and then pushing people to this new website subscription service.
Your magic shall not
Isn't that exactly disallowed at YouTube? Like, isn't it 100% not acceptable to put a video that is designed to put people to a competitor, or to a competing service or another website? And I know College Humor is huge, and they're gonna get away with it, but I mean, honestly, it would be really cool to see YouTube go, no, we're not gonna let you put these videos out. We're gonna suspend your account. This is not acceptable. You're not gonna put videos on our channel that are just commercials for your own service. But then again, a lot of people would immediately not side with YouTube even in this instance, so YouTube is probably smarter to let them get away with it. But as a person who occasionally watches College Humor content and has now seen that almost all of their content is now truncated and not as good, it sucks. I'm not happy about it. I don't want to go to their new service. In no way. If anything, what I'm probably going to do is just unsubscribe from them. Let's see. I probably after this game need to break up the recording. There's no real reason to go for like 3 hours here. It's going to be a slow, laid back, laid back Friday. but that won't be too bad. We have a game on Steam here called Vampire Bloody Star X. Sounds like an interesting name. Unfortunately, it looks like it's just a particle physics asteroids clone. Looks horrible and distracting. It's $2.99 right now. Yeah, it's not making it to the wish list.
Almost done.
I think I need to probably turn up the brightness on my monitor at some point. Let's see, I guess I could try to do that. I've got the remote on my second monitor. Let's see if I can pull that off, because I've been having trouble for the past couple of days. Just turn up the brightness. And let's see if some of these dark screenshot things I can see look any better. Actually, no, I probably need to turn up the contrast. Let's see how that looks.
In the light.
Also, need to play. Turn the contrast all the way up. Turn the brightness all the way up. Yeah, the fact that I put in bigger bulbs and brighter bulbs may have affected some things. See what happens if I turn on the auto brightness control. It just looks worse. Let's play this. Draw a card. Keep playing. Let's see, color, temperature, computer, cool, normal, computer. I think I probably should leave it on normal. Black detail. It says off. This is not off. Backlight control on. Off. Game low latency on. Gamma. I could turn up the gamma. That might be the issue. Although maybe I should turn it down, because that might be the issue too. Like, figuring out which way to have the gamma is an issue. Let's keep playing. Interesting. It's gamma. It's 1 to 8, 2 to 4, 2 to 2, 2 to 1, 1 to 8.
Unity, precision,
and 2 to 4, 1 to 8. I think it should be 1 to 8, 1.8. Then maybe at that point I could turn down the contrast, maybe. Nope, just blow out the picture completely. Alright, well, that's not particularly the prettiest picture I've ever seen, but it'll probably work better than what I'm doing right now.
Your magic shall not save you.
Keep on playing. And of course what I just changed is only going to affect how I see it, so it's not going to affect anything you see. So we've got this game on Steam called Ansible, and it might just be an asset flip horror, survival horror game. Probably is. Yeah. It's $9.34 discounted. guess I'll watch the video and see if there's perhaps something more to it.
Why do you call?
The problem with a lot of this issue is if I'm just guessing that it's gonna be a walking simulator or asset flip horror game, and I don't really know, I should put it on the follow list. The good news is I'm now seeing that there's a gun, and they've got like the gun in the gameplay video taking up the entire bottom half of the screen. It's totally in the wrong position. They're shooting very generic looking spider robot type creatures and zombies. Yeah, Ansible is not a good quality game, so I don't have to put it on the follow list. Alright, solve this. Draw again. Let's see. This.
It's playtime. As you command. Job done.
Next we have a game on Steam called 1111 Memories Retold, which
Reality
looks like it's a World War
woven.
II adventure, World War I adventure. This is from Bandai Namco too. Interesting that Bandai's publishing it and I just haven't heard of it. $29.99, that's pretty expensive. I'm willing to leave this game on the follow list though, because I'd like to see if perhaps it's telling more of a single player adventure game type story where so many military experiences are 100% built around first person shooting, or maybe top down tactics or flying simulators. So this sounds like an intriguing game that I'm gonna put on the follow list just to see how people like. Gamer Sutra has an article. The game extension platform Overwolf has nabbed $16 million in funding. Overwolf was the parent game extension developer of Hearth Arena, I believe is the name of it, which is the plugin that will tell you when you're playing in Arena just like what is the best card to pick, which one has the most value. I used it a couple times, but I just don't play in the Arena enough, and Overwolf was constantly trying to get you to log in and update, and it was just kind of a bad application in general. But yeah, all the streamers use it, like Cripperian uses it. And it's not just Hearthstone games. So it's not 100% surprising that they would get $16 million in funding. It's a little bit surprising as far as what are they going to do with that money, or what did they need that money for. And it's kind of crazy that these startup companies that are doing something slightly different are getting funding, while at the same time just a more established developers of video games are struggling to get funding or struggling to stay afloat. But moving on, Gamer Sutra has a different article. Streamlabs launches an app store with a $100 million developer fund. Now, is this an app store for apps for end users, or is this an app store that is going to have apps directly connected to Streamlabs? Like, that's the question, I suppose. Like, I don't feel like I would use Streamlabs too much. Maybe I would. Like, I definitely don't feel like giving 30% of any super chats if I had super chats as an option to me. Like, I don't feel like giving that 30% to YouTube, but for the convenience, and maybe I'd enable it. I'd probably enable all vectors so people could donate however they want.
Do not
But, I was incredibly slow to make a Patreon, and nobody has been the first follower, the first supporter on that Patreon since I started it. So if I was to get into Streamlabs, I would similarly be incredibly slow. On the other hand, the good news is I am getting more subscribers, and that's really where I'd like to see growth happen, although it would be nice to see more income, or any income, come in from this channel. And Patreon is a very interesting option as far as income, because the hope is people would choose to continue to support me on a month-to-month basis, knowing my YouTube channel in particular. There's a very good chance I'm not going to disappear, because I've been doing this for 4 years pretty consistently. Moving on, Gearbox has decided to open a loot store, and they have some kind of loot box in this loot store. This seems ridiculous. Like, it seems like a complete lack of focus. Why is there a loot store from Gearbox? I guess a lot of video game companies have merchandise stores, but a loot box seems kind of crazy. Like, looking at everything that they have on sale, it's just Borderlands stuff, Duke Nukem stuff, and that might be it. Like, they actually, I'm looking here, and it seems like there's, yeah, Borderlands, Duke Nukem, and Battletech and Homeworld. They have shirts and hoodies, they have hats and bags, and they have time capsules. So they don't even have that much. When I look at the shirts section, they have like 6 shirts available. It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, pretty crazy. Anyways, we're halfway through and pretty close to being done completely with the European account. We've gone an hour and 20 minutes, so this is a good point to break up this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game, or you can support me through Patreon. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening. Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Friday, November 9th. We are on the European account. We need to play 3 more Warlock class cards, and then we're just kind of done. We've got a few games to talk about, but we're kind of having a laid-back experience. I probably do need to speed up and start covering these games, though. We have a game on Steam, for example here, called Enemyist, which looks like a awful MS Paint Asteroids clone for 59 cents. That's not going to make it to the list. Let's see. GameIndustry.biz has an article, Big Box VR secures $5 million in seed funding round. Funding to support the development of upcoming VR Battle Royale game called Population 1. I've never heard of Big Box VR or Population 1, so this is more of an inside baseball article than I actually care to read, but I'll point it out there. We've got a game on Steam called Tin Hats that looks interesting. It looks like it might be a toys running around Santa's workshop type game. Let's see. I'll watch this video as I play over here and see what's really going on. Let's see, that's 1 of 3 that needs to be played. That's 2 of 3. Oh, it's not Santa's workshop to start off with. It's just an animated family of sorts with little tin toy soldiers. So it's like a toy maker.
Is someone injured?
It seems like the daughter, who they were showing in the trailer, somehow maybe died. That doesn't seem like that story has anything to do too much with what's going on, other than maybe it's the daughter that you're playing as a ghost. That might be the case.
Someone call for the doctor. It's playtime. Job done.
Yes, this is an early access game that requires VR. That's $19.99. I guess I'm still willing to put VR games on the follow list, so I'll put Toy Hearts. It's not called Toy Hats, it's called Tin Hearts. I'll put it on the follow list and we'll see what happens there, but there's a decent chance it's not going anywhere. It's not going to make it onto the actual wish list. Will die at the follow list level. We've got a game on Steam called Optica, which looks like a Unity one-screen puzzle game. For as many of these that come out, which there's not a ton of them, they all seem to be at least moderately good enough for me to want to play. $9.99 is way too expensive, but yep, it seems polished enough. Honestly, if you're a new developer of video games, you should make a one-screen Unity puzzle game. That will probably be your best bet. Don't get too ambitious. Don't try to make it look awful and be very obviously bad. We have a game on Steam called Enhanced. It looks kind of old with the black bars on the side. And I'm not seeing anything here that makes me want to play this. It's $4.99. Let's see, it seems like it's just a bad platformer. Yeah, I don't see anything here that interests me. Let's play this.
Unleash me.
And this. We have another game on Steam called Master Pool. Early access, requires VR. Do I want to play pool in VR? Maybe. Do I want to play this pool game? No. The graphics in the background seem a little too asset flippy and just not polished enough. If you were going to play pool in VR, you wouldn't be on the front lawn looking at a building. That just seems kind of ridiculous. So that tab's getting closed. Let's see. What do we want to do here? We could do this.
Yes, it's playtime. Your soul
This.
is mine.
That. Do that. Next we have a game on Steam called 1 Hour, 1 Life. I'm fairly certain that there was another game by a similar name Or maybe this was just talked about and pre-ordered. It looks really different now. So, let's see. The idea of 1 hour, 1 life sounds a lot better than the other game, which I think was 1 minute, 1 life. Or something like that. This is $20. So I want to see if this developer has another game. He has the Castle Doctrine, which was, I think, a game that was kind of popular, but it's mixed reviewed now. Yeah, I know people hyped this game up and talked about it, but it, yeah, didn't have any polish to it. So yeah, I'm gonna not add this to the follow list because it's just in such bad company as a game. I don't have any confidence that they're gonna make a good game after they've released 4 or 5 mixed review games. Next we have a game called Pokerstars Vr, which really is going to come down to reviews. It looks relatively pretty for a poker game. I'm assuming this is not real gambling, and it requires VR, but it's free to play. So I may put this on the fall list. I guess I will, even though it's early access and requires VR. It would be really, really nice though if it didn't require that online. Let's see.
Your magic shall not save you.
For the doctor. Your soul is mine.
Next we have a game on Steam called Sporky, which looks like it's a platformer. Looks like it might be a mobile game port too. This feels like it's probably a bad platformer attempting to be something along the lines of a Super Meat Boy clone. When you're seeing some dashing, you're seeing hacking and slashing. Although this might be solid enough gameplay that this might be actually worth playing. Yeah, this one's a little questionable. Like I kind of feel like this has to be on the wish list, even though I'm seeing a lot of spikes, and I think I'd be afraid of a game like this for just being a rage-inducing style of gameplay.
Soul is mine.
We could hit that, I guess. See what this developer has made before Sporky. They made Stories of Betham Full Moon, which was rated positive. I haven't heard of it. Okay, well, I'll leave Sporky on the fall list. We'll see what the reviews say on it. Next, let's see. How we gonna play? Let's draw a card. Let's see. Play this. And this. And this.
Your soul is mine.
There you go. Next we have a game on Steam called Egress, which looks like it's a battle royale early access game. Seems to have a tendency in all the screenshots to show the behinds of all the characters. Hero-based PvP arena game. Mixed reviews. Closed servers or disabled beta keys will no longer work. Early access is now available. I don't think people would do that. Yeah, people are not liking it. It doesn't have that many reviews. But if it's negative already, what do you get from that? Let's see.
Your magic shall not save you.
They're saying the game is very laggy. And I guess technical problems in an early access are kind of to be expected. So the thing about a hero player versus player game would be who is behind it. And in this case, the developer behind Egress has only made one other game that is mixed reviewed, and it's called Beastarium, and it came out December 6, 2016. So yeah, because it's a company that really hasn't made a battle royale player versus player game before, why in the world would you trust that? Sure, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds hadn't made a battle royale game before either, but that's kind of the exception that breaks the rule. Now we move over to the Asian account. Now I think maybe by the time I'm done streaming, if I go back to the European account, there might be one more daily quest to do, but depends on when I'm going to be done streaming here. Gematsu has an article. Dragon Quest Builders 2 introduces Materials Island, which seems to be more materials. Honestly, though, with the new... Let's do a watch and learn. With the new additions to the latest snapshots of Minecraft, Minecraft is just so far ahead whatsoever compared to any Minecraft clone that you'd be really crazy to play like Dragon Quest Builders. Somebody submitted a fan suggestion for a card in Hearthstone where it was a character that was a briber, a legendary card. You play it and it says if the opponent concedes in the next turn, he gets 10 gold. 10 gold might be a little low to make somebody concede, particularly if you're playing in ranked play, but it would be great for casual players and new players to say, hey, why don't we just all agree to play this? We'll give each other gold that way. Of course, the better way to do it, instead of having a card like that, which people would almost never actually agree to concede, why not just pay out 10 gold after every proper Hearthstone game in general, instead of paying out 10 gold every 3 games? That would triple the amount of gold in it available and let new players get more cards and still be free to play, which is not what Activision Blizzard wants, of course, but it's what would help make the community more successful. Next we have a game on Steam called Quantum Retribution. This looks like an actual horror game. It's not quite as polished as some of the ones that are just asset flip ones, but I think there's an actual game here, at least enough to put it on the wish list. $4.89 discounted, multiple endings, which sounds interesting, although I'm not 100% sure on that. Like, how many different times would you want to play a horror game? Guess that would be the question.
I wonder.
This game, Quantum Retribution. I'm watching the trailer. Guess we need to come over here and actually play. Well, actually, I'm not playing, I'm just watching. So, that wasn't my fault at all. I'm just watching and learning right now. So, yeah, moving on. We have a game on Steam called Ponkle. Looks like a cell phone game. Pretty generic, pretty basic. And definitely not something to the level of quality where I would actually put it on the far list. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I don't know how much this actually is news until Game Freak, the developers of Pokemon, actually start making content. But Game Freak has opened a YouTube channel and a Twitter account, which does point more than anything to just a realization that Game Freak, as a Japanese company, has realized that YouTube and Twitter are important, and arguably maybe YouTube and Twitter weren't until very recently that important in Japan. Of course, I'm a YouTuber, so I want to see YouTube successful around the world, so I can get more of an audience, and Twitter is a backup source that I use, so I'd like it to be more successful. Although, in all fairness, I think Twitter also needs to kind of reevaluate and shift what it is, because right now it's mostly a place where people go to follow celebrities and not a place where people go to communicate amongst other normal people. And that has led to celebrities thinking that Twitter is their own private playground and making demands of what should be a free speech platform to turn it into a censored platform, which is basically what it is becoming. There we go. I don't think we have to do the Tavern Brawl. Let's see. And we just need to win a Paladin or Priest game, I guess. And then I guess what we'll do is we'll switch back to the European account after a while. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what else you could really say there. Is it? Yeah, we'll play some Asian account games just to get up and ranked, and then we'll try and switch to the European account and see if maybe there is another daily quest that needs to be done. We've got a game on Steam called 7 Minute Hop. It's clearly a cell phone, one of these jump games. Even at 59 cents, it's not worth putting on the list. It's not worth owning. Gamatsu has an article, Ys 7 based smartphone action RPG Ys Altago will be released in Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau. So, I guess good for them. I don't know if this game would come further to the west. I would guess the answer to that is probably no. If they're slowly announcing that, oh, it's coming to Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Macau, that's to say, oh yeah, we're releasing it to the Asian markets, but we're not releasing it to Europe or the Americas or anything like that.
The calm before the storm.
Let's see.
I fight.
We have a game on Steam called DJ Whip VR, which I think actually is a whip. So slightly different, I guess, than Lightsaber, Beat Saber. But kind of ridiculous, certainly. I don't know. I guess if you were in VR and you wanted to swing a whip around, that's better than in real life swinging around a whip, because you're gonna hurt yourself. But this is another VR game, and it seems like it's such a generic Beat Saber ripoff, that
Let me think.
this is not the kind of VR game that I'd put on the follow list and maintain. What I'm looking for is games that have like really good story in them, and I'd want to play them despite the fact that I might have to buy a VR headset. I really wouldn't want to play DJ with VR. I might if I own the game, certainly, or if I wanted, if I got the game for free, but this is not a system seller, and this is not a game that needs to be played. Let's see. The Unreal Engine, well, more accurate, Epic Games has announced over $800,000 in Unreal Engine dev grants. So let's see. They gave
Access denied.
Photonic burst. The battle.
They gave a film and cinema grant to something called 100 Flowers of God by 3D World Studios. They gave a tool and plugin grant to something called Animotion Motion Composers and Animotion BLK. 100 Flowers of God, by the way, is the current working title. They gave a film and cinema VR grant to a game called Awake Episode 1, which I believe I added that to the follow list. They gave an independent game grant to a game called Black Iris by Hexa Game Studios. They gave an independent game grant to Botnet by Calvin Labs. They gave a film and cinema to Sign Tracer by Matt Workman.
Let me think.
+2.
Reporting for duty.
I don't need any of you.
Photonic burst. The battle.
Let's see. They gave an independent game grant to Close to the Sun by Storm in the Teacup. I've heard of Storm in the Teacup, but I'm not sure they've made anything before that. They gave a tool and plugin grant to Corel DS Unreal by DS.Tools. So this is interesting to see just how many different industries are using Unreal these days. That you're having people making plugins to use Unreal, you're having people making games with it, and you're having people that are making movies with it.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see.
Minion already
The
attacked.
battle. Photonic burst.
As many of these as possible. See, they gave an independent game to Farm Folks by Overgrown. They gave an independent game grant to Jupiter and Mars by Tigertron. An independent game grants to Katsuo by USC Games. They gave an independent game grant to Corel by Panatumaca Barcelona. I mispronounced that, I'm pretty sure. They gave a Fine Arts /VR grant to Liminex Pylon 4D Art. They gave an independent game grant to Mini World VR by Sienna Studios. They gave an independent grant to Moving and Throwing by House Pixel Games.
For justice. Reporting for duty. The battle.
Let's go ahead and do our best to get rid of as many of these as possible. Let's see. They give a film and cinema grant to music videos by Noise Storm, a tools and plugin grant to Optium Thea by Thea Interactive. an independent game to Planetrism VR by Planetrism Team. They give an architectural grant to real estate in virtual reality by VR. That's interesting. They give an independent game grant to Risk One's Neck by Royce Games. Some of these games, I definitely haven't heard of. A couple of them I have. Let's see, they give a film grant to Robots Design Academy by Eric Liu. And then they gave a learning resource grant to Russian U Unreal Engine 4 lessons and commentary. Wow, I'm not sure I'm on board with cheap Russian troll developers figuring out how to use Unreal Engine.
For justice.
But I mean, honestly, if they get better and they stop making low-effort games, that solves the problem that I complain about. It's not that I inherently think that cheap Russian troll game developers couldn't, at some point in the future, actually make a good game. Let's see, they gave an independent game grant by S.0.in, or I guess that's Sun, S.O.in, by Red G Studios. They gave an independent game grant to Spellbreaker by Proletariat Incorporated, and a film grant to The Abyss by Kamal Grinnell. Jeez, if I knew this was going to be this long, I wouldn't have gone through all of it. Let's see how many more there are. Yeah, there aren't that many more. Let's see. They gave a independent game grant to The Cycle by Jaeger, an AR/VR grant to the Hydros Presents Immerse, Fine Arts grant to the Krimmer Collection Virtual Machine, a Tools and Plugin grant to Tools and Plugins by VR Professionals. Let's see. Let's attack
For
here.
justice.
And then draw cards. Buff the attack and health of all other minions.
Move quickly.
Play
Reporting for duty.
in the turn. They gave a film and cinema grant to an unannounced project by Kite and Lighten, and they gave a independent game grant to Unbound Worlds Apart by Alien Pixel Studios, and a tool and plugin grant to VR Cataract Training Solution by Surgical Mind. Interesting. Yeah, I think doctors who work on cataracts in particular could use a lot more training, and maybe doing that in VR would be helpful. So, what are we trying to do right now? I've forgotten what. Paladin or Priest victories. Or what we were looking for. Let's try Control Priest then. So, yeah, that was a long list of grants. Unreal Engine really is getting to the point where, well, Unreal Engine was always very good. It's Unity that's kind of the question mark. Because there's this possibility that Unity could get a lot better and compete on the exact same style of games that Unreal Engine games are usually used to make, because Unreal Engine games are usually used to make high level, high detail first person shooters style games, really realistic looking, where Unity games can do cartoony, simple single screen Unity puzzle games. You really wouldn't use Unreal to make a single screen puzzle game. So Unreal needs to probably have some plugins to make more 2D games and more simplistic games and things that would run and work on both iOS and Android. And Unity needs to work the other way to cover the gap too. It'd be nice if we saw some better, more direct competition between the two companies. But, and you know, if a third engine came in there and was really good, that would be nice too. Alright. What do we want to do? Play a coin now, so we can have this on the field?
Let the pain speak to me.
Right away.
Maybe. We have a game on Steam called Of Gods and Men, The Daybreak Empire. If it wasn't for the fact that it had black bars on the side, I might have considered this as like an old school NES style RPG. That animation looks pretty bad. Yeah, $4.79 certainly is way too expensive too, so that's not making it to the wish list. Alright. How do we want to do this?
I wonder.
We play this. We hit this. We heal this. So I've got double the health, double the health. That would give me 20 right now. That's not enough to win, no? We have a game on Steam called Dark Dimensions Homecoming Collector's Edition. This is a Big Fish Games hidden object game, so notice that they've stopped to not tag them as hidden object games as much. They're trying to get away from that idea. There's a Dark Dimensions collection, so that would be something to consider if it weren't for the fact that all Big Fish hidden object games are like $12.99. Way too expensive. Alright, deal 3 damage to all other minions.
My hand is too full.
Oh, seriously? Went and effed that up. Let's see.
Right away.
Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Xeon 25. Looks like very pixely graphics for what looks like a shoot 'em up game. Yep, nothing here looks interesting. Early access for a game that should never be in early access for $2.79. Like, how are you gonna make a shoot 'em up game and make it early access?
I wonder.
Let's see. There's 10. I guess that's as high as you can ever get this. So I could go 20, 40, and attack. We have a game on Steam called Unsacrifice, which might be a puzzle wander around style game, or it might just be a horror or walking simulator game. Let's see. It's just a demo right now.
I must consider.
So I guess I'll put it on the follow list, and I'm gonna watch this.
Medicine insects.
Watch this. It's a VR game again. Let's see. it still very much feels like people just intentionally have these VR games, or they spend so much effort on making the game VR, and then they fail to do some of the basic things like make an actual game. Just gonna go ahead and double that in the turn. But I'll put Unsacrificed on the fall list and keep an eye on it. Next we have a game called V-Coil, which looks like a Tetris clone, a very bad Tetris clone. Wow, $1.79 discounted, not even worth that much.
Who to shoot?
GameIndustry.biz has an article. Blizzard acknowledges the mobile reality. Diablo Immortal didn't go down well at BlizzCon, but BlizzCon's Asian following makes a high-profile mobile strategy a necessity, not an option. So that's kind of fine. It's just really how they presented it. Like, had they been honest and said, look, we know the Asian markets love mobile. We know that there is an untapped potential of growing the fan base. So we're going to let's see.
Masterful. I concede.
There we go. So we're going to come out with this mobile game, but don't worry for all you hardcore gamers. Diablo 4 is still in development. All they really needed to do is show a logo of Diablo 4, and that is it. And honestly, I would have had people gotten on stage and just talk about Diablo and what Diablo meant to them, and what it means, and what Diablo 4 is going to be for. I'm gonna play Spell Hunter. Let's see how Spell Hunter works on the Asian account. Yeah, it really was a lot of presentation problem. There's some other issues though. Having people pay a lot of money to go to BlizzCon and just making a bad keynote. They probably should have just canceled the keynote because they really didn't have a lot to show otherwise anyways. And they could have just had the BlizzCon and that would have been that.
I will fight with
Game of Sutra has basically a very similar article where Activision Blizzard's revenues falter under Destiny 2's DLC after Destiny 2 DLC, quote, underperformed. This is another problem with investors also, that games are now required to make more money than is reasonable that they would ever make. And so even a very successful series like Destiny 2, which by all rights should be described that way, is getting reported as underperforming because the requirements are just too high. It's just over-demanding parents making neurotic companies. It's capital investors who know nothing about the video game industry and don't care about the video game industry. They just want to see constant, massive profits every quarter. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Strange Encounter that's tagged nudity, free to play. Interesting. So I imagine this is just somebody walking in the field and getting abducted by aliens. See, I don't know. Let's see what else this developer has made. Nothing. I guess I could put this on the fall list and be really generous, and then we'll see what the reviews are. I think before I install or play any kind of game that is free to play, it needs to meet a kind of high level as far as just reviews and quality, because Strange Encounter in particular could be a really dumb game. I already talked about that article. You have a game on Steam called Breakout. It doesn't look like Arkanoid or Breakout, so that's slightly nice. Let's see what kind of gameplay it actually is. It really just seems like it's a hopper game. I saw another game like this where it's just a 3D version of a Minecraft hopper map. Why these would start to become popular, I have no idea. But yeah, this looks pretty boring. Let's see.
To my side.
Let's see, I'm not gonna attack. So yeah, I'm gonna close Breakout. It doesn't make it to the fall list. Let's see. Next we have a JRPG called Insurgents Chains of the Renegade.
Reporting for duty.
Which, yeah, might be good, might be bad, might be an RPG Maker game. I'm gonna look at the video, $3.99. It's probably not in the top 100 of JRPGs, and I think for RPGs and JRPGs, I'm gonna have to start holding games to something like that standard, just because RPGs tend to take so freaking long to play. So I need to be more critical about what I add there. I need to make a special effort at some point to decide what JRPGs or RPGs I'm actually going to play, because it's just such a high commitment. And really, it really just starts with, like, what is the first JRPG I'm going to play, or what is the first RPG I play. This developer and this publisher hasn't made anything else, so I don't think Insurgents Chains of Renegade needs to be on the wish list. Or the fall list. Let's see. Secret track. No secret. That. And attack.
Job's done.
Get down!
Next we have a game on Steam called Siberian the Time Travel Warrior. Animation might be alright. Looks like it's a platformer beat 'em up game.
Guy's toast.
Yeah, this doesn't look too terrible. I think this game at $5.09 discounted looks at least good enough to deserve to be on the fall list until we can see what some reviews say and see how the community feels about it. Here's an interesting one. One of the YouTubers was talking about how he was making videos for this next game, and the video was having trouble with either showing up or getting posted, and the title of the video was Thief Simulator Stealing My First TV or something like that, and he's tweeting out publicly, hey, my video that's talking about me stealing my first TV is not on YouTube. I kind of like the idea of being a thief simulator game, because there was that TV show called To Catch a Thief that went on for a very long time, where it was talking about, like, securing your own house and being better at that, in the narrative of following an ex-thief who had prearranged to break into certain people's houses, and then you could see how it would go down. I like this idea of a game. It's $16.99. I'm gonna put this on the fall list. Now this could just be a very trolly game, too. I mean, it could be. It probably is somewhere along the same lines as where where House Flip Simulator went. What was that? House Flipper. Like, that game was half realistic and then half video game. Let's see. Let's go ahead and just kill this guy.
Job's done.
Oh, darn it. Yeah, but Thief Simulator is gonna go on the wish list or the fall list. Might have some trouble playing that game just by the title alone, but I think if enough people start playing that game, which I bet a bunch of people will, they'll make some exceptions and program whatever software that is flagging those videos to not flag those videos.
Easy target.
Yeah, if I had enough to have played this, I think I could have won. GameIndustry.biz has an article. PlayStation Now has brought in 143 million in the last quarter. So while Sony is not doing the things I would like to see Sony do, as far as allowing games uncensored to come out, their PlayStation Now service certainly has worked well for them. I guess we can switch over right now. I mean, we're almost finished. We're gonna play maybe one or two more games, maybe three more games, and then I'm gonna be done with the news, and then that's just gonna be the weekend. And I'll come back and hopefully later this evening record part 2 of the letter games starting with the letter T for the end of the year wishlist cleanup videos. I know I'm talking about the end of the year Steam wishlist cleanup videos a lot, but nobody knows what they are or has seen them, so I'm hoping people kind of like those videos and appreciate them for how they work. Let's see. Let's try Token Shaman. What I'm really looking for, I guess Death Rattle Hunter, we'll try that. I'm looking for victories, particularly on the European account. That would be very much appreciated.
Rexar versus Uther.
I will fight with honor.
Let the hunt begin.
Let's see. Death Rattle, Magnetic. Nice. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Welcome to Princeland, which looks like it might be slightly more polished than the just usual asset flip game. Maybe? It's $4.49. I kind of not sure if this is a joke game or what, or a troll game. Well, it says it's a single player. Come over here and play.
Job's done.
So the problem, and it's always the problem here, is that a game like this might be serious. This might be an attempt at a real game, or this might just be an asset flip game that's designed to look really good. I guess we could look to see if the developers have made something else. That'll be the next thing I do. Let's see.
Ooh, I wonder what this does.
Job's done.
See, I should have actually saved that card and then played these magnetics on him. And that would have been nice, better. Yeah, Welcome to Princeland does kind of look a little repetitive in the video game plays, and this developer hasn't made anything else. So I don't think this game would get enough polish. And also, I'm not sure a game like this would really even succeed in a post-Fortnite world. truth might be that everybody would just play Fortnite or PUBG or something else, or Rust, even.
Access denied.
See, next we have a game on Steam called Yearning, which looks like it's a Japanese horror game. There's a lot of dark screenshot syndrome happening here. Like, I'm not really sure if this is a game or not. It's $9.99. I'll watch this trailer and see if it gives me any more information.
Access denied.
Just end the turn there. I don't really understand the concept of, well, in this game, Yearning, the character is holding a paper lantern in Japanese paper lantern, and it's illuminating a circle around her. Why in the world would you make your game like that? Is my question. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Why have so much blackness in the background and the sides and edges? Okay, I'm seeing that there is some kind of black monster that follows her around. This does seem like this is probably a pretty simplistic, you're getting chased by a monster style of game. I'm not sure I have too many of those on my wish list, or even want to have too many of them, actually. Let's see.
What is my purpose?
And do that. And that. And then in the turn. See what else this developer's made. They've made one other game called Black Mist that didn't look too good and didn't get any reviews. I think Yearning is a bit of a stretch of a game, but I'll put it on the fall list. I'll see if over the course of a year people actually play it and review it, because I suspect they won't.
Protocol 7.
I comply.
Tech Raptor has an article, get energized with the limited edition Pac-Man Red Can Bowl. No. Pac-Man Red Bull Can. Interesting. I don't think I'd really want to drink Red Bull. And honestly, the can artwork doesn't look that unique or cool looking. They could have probably done a much better job.
Converting stored.
GameIndustry.biz has an article. Chinese government, quote, just doesn't care if the game industry goes bust, in quotes. At Level Up K1, 505's Games, Thomas Rosenthal explored the upheaval caused by the freeze on game approvals in China and the uncertainty still to come. So, and here's an interesting quote. Quote, the assumption that Tencent was very linked to the Chinese government failed when we saw the Monster Hunter issue, which I think the Monster Hunter issue would have been Monster Hunter getting not approved or something. Well, you would have thought Tencent games would have been excluded from this, excluded from the hiring freeze, but they really weren't. Let's hit this. See how that works. There we go. What else do we have as far as quotes? Quote, it's very difficult to see who's going to lead, who's going to stifle the regulations and supervise the industry moving forward. Quote, Steam is by far the biggest channel in China and it is an unwanted result from a government perspective of the approval process. End quote. So yeah, people are not happy. Particularly this guy's not happy with the Chinese video game licensing freeze. So yeah, that's an article. Here's an interesting article, GameIndustry.biz, and this is probably a lesson to all YouTubers, including myself. YouTube backtracks ban on YouTuber who assaulted Red Dead suffragette. Now, assaulted is a loaded yellow journalist term because, I mean, he's in the video game of Red Dead Redemption 2 punching a virtual character who happens to be a female suffragette who is still in no way no more human than any of the other virtual characters, which you've been freely allowed to punch and shoot throughout so many games, including Red Dead Redemption 2. What happened here, in my understanding here, is that one YouTuber particularly started getting a lot of views for doing that one action a lot, and he was milking it for all he could get. So there was multiple videos that were of him punching and then doing other kind of nasty things to this suffragette character. The subtitle to this article is Controversial Clips Restored but Now Age Restricted. Deletion blamed on a misinterpretation of the guidelines. And see, that's on a bigger issue. The more important thing here to realize is that the people allowed to delete videos on YouTube don't know what the guidelines are, because the guidelines are constantly changing and shifting as the wind shifts. Now, arguably, all Red Dead Redemption 2 footage maybe should be age-gated, but that would never happen. So I don't see how this footage is really much different than any other videos. There probably, almost certainly, are clips on YouTube of people punching other male characters in Red Dead Redemption and doing all kinds of like violent acts on them. I would say also, as far as a political movement, the suffragettes are the first wave feminists, and while not everybody agreed with them, in fact they called them terrorists, I think, in their day, the truth is nobody realistically is going to disagree with what first wave feminists were asking for, like the right to own property, the right to vote, the right, I think, to divorce, the rights, things like that. Like they are not the annoying extreme third wave feminists that exist now, and that's just a bad expression there. Way to express that. I could go further in this article. It just, for my part, it's important that even if something is getting a lot of tractions, to be careful and not get your videos deleted or your channel banned. As a YouTuber, and it's also important for YouTube to start explaining itself a lot better.
Time's up. Let's do this.
Like, as far as what its rules are and what it isn't, because I don't really understand, like, I don't even really understand what the rule is that they're claiming he violated.
I wonder.
Let's see, other prominent YouTubers, including Keem and PewDiePie, apparently complained about the videos being taken down. So that's the reason they got put back up. And let's face it, this YouTuber is probably not going to be the next PewDiePie, just because he got a few good hits on the search engine algorithm. And it probably says something about the search engine algorithm too, that video is getting recommended and viewed. Let's see, the quote here is, "We reviewed the video and we determined that it should be age restricted as they were not community guidelines, violations. The channel will be reinstated. All 8,000 videos will be rolled back to the channel." So this guy had 8,000 videos that were deleted, basically, and now have to be undeleted. And so, yeah, community guidelines versus, I guess, ad-friendly guidelines. And in the end, because they age-gated it, he still can't run ads on that, so that YouTuber is not making money on these videos. He might as well, put him private at that point. Or, because now he's got to work and he's got to try and recover. Let's see. Somebody has a challenge a friend. Let's see. Let's see.
The light shall bring victory.
Let the hunt begin.
We'll concede this.
Well fought.
We concede this game. And we'll let him challenge me. Because I'll take 80 gold. So I'll just take a second. There we go. And what do we do? We'll play Freeze Mage. It's nice though to see that YouTube is at least not completely kowtowing to reactionists or extreme SJWs, but I don't think this is the beginning of a new day at YouTube where free speech is celebrated and people can put up more videos that they want to put up, regardless of how detestable it might be to other people. Let's see. We don't need to talk about that.
None will survive.
Well met.
In return. CheckRaptor has an article talking about a game called Gris, G-R-I-S. I'm not sure if it's out yet though. So it's, let's see. It is on Steam. So I guess I'll put it on the fall list. It's coming out December 13th though, so it's not out yet. So I'm not gonna put games that are brand new, like that aren't out yet, on the fall list. I potentially should, but if it's popular enough, people will let me know, and I'll catch it probably on what's on Steam. We have a game on Steam called Hellsign, which looks like it might be a isometric action-adventure game of some sort. Early access for $14.99. What else has this developer made? Nothing. I can't really see a lot here, but I see some menus. Probably too many menus. And a lot more menus. A lot more menus. And some conversation. So I'll watch this video, but I imagine that what's going to happen is I'll have to I'll have to put it on the fall list and see how it actually plays. Yeah, it's gonna have to just go to the follow list. GameIndustry.biz has another article. Activision Blizzard share drop a further 11%. Weaker than expected results and dips in engagement worry shareholders. Let's see, when was this article done? February 9th, today, so yeah, Activision Blizzard shares are dropping like crazy. Is this the time to try and buy out Activision Blizzard? Maybe, but that would certainly be for like somebody with millions and billions of dollars. It would be kind of awesome if Microsoft came in and bought Activision Blizzard, put all their games on Steam instead of the Activision Battle.net launcher, and they started porting all those games to the Xbox One and Xbox 360. I don't think if, say, I don't think it would be that good if Sony bought Activision Blizzard, or if Nintendo bought Activision Blizzard. Although, you know, Nintendo could do it, it probably wouldn't be too terrible, but then Nintendo would probably pull all their games off of the PC. And if Sony did it, Sony might pull some games off PC too. Let's see. 2 damage and freeze them. Yeah. And if you're just like an individual investor, it'd be really crazy to invest in Activision Blizzard because it might go bankrupt and then your shares wouldn't be worth anything. Next we have a game on Steam called The Witch's Tale, which says it's a casual game. It looks like it might just be a match 2 game. No, it has a variety of puzzles. $3.59. It doesn't seem like it's actually a horror game or a hidden object game. It really does look like it's just some varieties on match 2. Okay. 4 damage to everybody. Play that. Little jigsaw puzzles. This is $3.59. See what else this developer's made. Well, this developer has 4 games that are rated positively.
The light protects.
And 2 games that are mixed. And some more games that aren't rated. And I think that deserves it. Gives The Witch's Tales at least a little bit of credibility. So I'm thinking I should put it on the follow list and see where it goes. Whereas this game, Wish Giver, looks pretty awful. Looks like it's probably a cheap Chinese game, RPG maker. This might be the newer RPG maker engine. It's English and simplified Chinese, yeah. This one doesn't look good enough. And we could try and see some of the other games that they've developed, but they seem to all be Chinese only. Alright. So need this to go away.
Job's done.
See, I imagine this guy's letting me win, but I'm still probably not gonna be able to play this strategy like I'd like to. I'm gonna kill myself on accident. Is what's gonna happen.
mushroom power!
Play this secret and do this. And then play this. And then turn. Next we have a game on Steam called Supply Chain Idol that looks incredibly boring. Just super boring. It's free to play, so I guess the price is right, but even at that it's dull. And speaking of dull, we have Desktop Dynasties Pro Football, and I guess maybe if I was into fantasy football, something like this might make some sense. So what this would really come down to, I guess, is how much of this game developer do I trust? Because I suspect the case is let's see, play that.
Someday I'll be just like you.
And do that. And then do that. And yeah, in the turn. Yeah, I suspect this developer hasn't made anything else. Yeah, they haven't. And this game is early access for $15.99. It's not just fantasy football though. It does seem to have some plays that play out. So because of that, I'll put it on the phone list and we'll just see if maybe there's some really good reviews for it. We've got a game on Steam called Ocean's Treasures, which looks like it's a ocean simulator game. Again, this really is just going to come down to, while this looks somewhat pretty, it's going to come down to whether this developer has made anything else. It's a VR game too, and I think that kills the thought immediately. There.
Let the pain speak to me.
There we go. Yeah, this developer hasn't made anything else besides that. I don't think I need to keep an eye on Ocean's Treasures. Next we have a game that's not in English, it's only in Chinese. So I think it's called Magic Tower, but you wouldn't be able to find it that way, so I'll close that tab. Game of Sutra has an article, Fortnite hits 8.3 million concurrent players. So yeah, that's a big number.
You require my assistance.
This. There we go. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has this similar article. Report Tencent dials back game marketing budget to weather China's game freeze. We'd already seen a similar story, so we don't need to cover that again. Let's see. We have a game on Steam called Brocat the Bee Game, which says it's like a memes game. Yeah, this feels very much like it's not a good quality game. Yeah, it seems pretty basic for $4.99. Yeah, don't need to be concerned with that. Okay. So we do this.
An incredible discovery.
And actually I could just win here. So I should just do that, yeah. Yep. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has a article, ex-EA design chief Patrick Sutherland unveils Embark Studios. So let's come back over here and just try to keep on playing. Token Druid. Let's see. So Patrick Sutherland, he was the founder of DICE also. It's a new development house that has, according to the press release, set its sights on using emerging technology to create new types of interactive entertainment and simulated virtual online worlds, which sounds like it's a VR company to me if I was to guess. And I think it would be pretty silly to start a VR company at this point.
I must protect the wild.
Maybe. If you've got a good idea, and if you got ideas for games, it could work. We have a game on Steam called Gamble of the Gods. Let's see. Looks like it's a top-down twin stick style of game. It doesn't look terrible, and it's free, so the price is right. This developer hasn't developed anything else, and this developer has just made a bunch of free games. Interesting. Like, what? I don't even know how to fit a company in my head. If it was a video game company that for many years made free games, like full free games. Like, I don't know how you would justify saying they're an actual business and not just calling them like a charity or a show house or something. Let's see. Lemon Lover came on the chat. He said, "Good day." Hi, Lemon Lover. I'm about to wrap up though. This is probably going to be the last game. So, sorry I started early. I thought more people could watch if I started early. But apparently not. Perhaps I should just be consistent and happy with what I've got. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Skettle, a Giant Party. Let's see. What kind of game is this? Looks like some kind of weird party game. Maybe a Mario. Yeah, it looks like a Mario Party style of game. Early access, $9.99. I think I leave that on the wish list. Yeah, even if it only has like 5 different party games in it, it's pretty polished and it looks like something I should at least keep an eye out for and see if people like it. I'm still trying to find a really good Mario Party clone on PC. Let's see if we do this. That won't really work. We need to do something more like this. We have a game on Steam called Late O'Clock that looks like garbage. Just like really bad. It's free, but even at that, I wouldn't put it on the follow list. Just ugly. Alright, play this. I'm just trying to keep as many people on the field as possible. Couple more games. We have a game on Steam called Castle Re-Encounter that looks pretty basic. Looks like one of those Stickman games where you're just attacking left and right. It's 89 cents discounted, and it's from a developer who doesn't seem to have made anything else that interests me. So, okay. Do I play this? Or do I play this?
What to do?
It's possible that had I played this, I would have won.
For the wild.
I'm not joking, but I'm not sure.
Job done.
And we have a game on Steam that clearly is a very low effort title, Unknown's Survival Player Battlegrounds. Clearly this is a low effort asset flip. It looks really good, like so many asset flips do these days. But yep, this is clearly just going for name misrecognition. And is this a straight up trolling? Does that fall under straight up trolling under Steam's description? I don't know, but my description I'd say totally. It's 59 cents discounted.
What?
It will almost certainly disappear from the Steam store pretty quickly. Let's see. If I do this, I would have 3 plus 2. So that's not enough. Do this. Do this. And do this. And do this.
For the wild.
Gamasutra has a bit of good news. The German government to establish a $57 million games fund, or that's 50 million euros, to help drive the country's creative industry. So it probably isn't 100% disconnected that it was only less than a year ago that the German censorship rating boards was basically saying video games aren't art, and thus any Nazi swastikas or SS bolts or anything like that on Nazi characters in video games had to be censored. That was the way it was for a very long time. They finally stopped saying that, enforcing that, and now all of a sudden Germany has a emerging video game industry as far as development that they're trying to support. And in fact, Gamasutra points that point out also, that there was a recently lifted ban on unconstitutional symbols, as they are called, and themes. $57 million isn't an incredibly large amount of money, but particularly when split between many different sources. But it certainly is the start of something, and Germany could probably make some pretty interesting games. Like Daedalic is the point-and-click developer that's, I believe, German, and I love their games. So okay. We have a TechRaptor article. The loud man, is the quiet man any better with sound? Because I guess they got to play the DLC that adds sound back into it. And let's see. The second to last paragraph here says, when I originally reviewed The Quiet Man, I gave it a 1 out of 10. If this version of the game, if this was the game I first reviewed, I probably would have given it a 3. So yes, The Quiet Man is better with sound. However, it really doesn't take much to be better than The Quiet Man. I would never recommend you play this game, and I'm still totally baffled at its existence. And we have a game on Steam called How About Spikes that looks like a very low effort platformer. Says it's a Metroidvania, but whatever it claims to be, it looks like MS Paint graphics. So yeah, this is not a game I'm gonna put on the wish list, the fall list. And that puts me at the end of this stream. I mean, I could certainly talk about the Humble Bundle. I could go on Twitter and look for new news, but I doubt there's a new Humble Bundle on Friday. I doubt there's any new news on Twitter that couldn't just wait until Friday. I did talk, I suppose, we could talk about this for a brief second, about this game, and that was banned from Steam. Mostly, I think, because the creator doesn't speak English, and I think unless the creator is lying about the actual content that is in it, which would be weird because from what they're saying, it was already rated teen in Japan. So yeah, this game, The Key to Home, was removed from Steam, and it was removed again the second time. So I wanted to come over here and show it off, just so you can see the art style, and I think that's the problem. And the problem about talking about an article like this is without showing some examples that are safe for work, you're kind of left wondering. And let's see if it shows any more pictures zoomed in. Yeah. So I think there's somebody doesn't like this art style. It gets down to like the concept of freedom of speech is to protect detestable speech. If you don't like this art style, okay, I get it. Like you don't like it, but that's why freedom of speech is supposed to exist. You can see also up here they had grabbed some snapshots of what the character of what the Steam page looked like, so I guess I could see if we could do that. And just see what the Steam page itself looked like. Like, it is slightly confusing that this is getting banned, and I think it really is mostly just a miscommunication. And Steam needs to better explain itself. Is it the angles? Is it the fashion choice? Is it what is it that they have the problem? Because without some form of guidelines, is it this one artist and his art styles that's the problem? Is that artist alone? And what's funny is this developer on Steam has another game that has been on Steam just fine. Now, is it this girl with her high fashion appearance? Or is it something much worse in the game? And this was the problem also with Omega Labyrinth Z. Without showing, without knowing, you don't know what this is. This is just a visual novel game with a different art style. Now, maybe this, let's say for speculation that this artist that drew that art style is known for like drawing animated pornography in the exact same art style. Does that really affect this game in any way? I don't think it does. Because that's not the content of that game. Like, there have been cases of comic book artists in the West who use photo reference pornography and just live action photographs. Does that inherently invalidate the comic books that were eventually created from that? Not completely, at least. Anyways, I just wanted to point that out because that is the one story that nobody's gonna report on. So yeah, that's it for this stream. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me, you can support me through Patreon down below, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.